It's TBISE, the best in sports entertainment. We here live at Power Rooms USA. I finally caught up to my guy, my guy from YSM, Mill. You guys know this guy behind the cameras. He's doing this thing on YouTube, every platform. He's one of the reasons why I kind of got into, the sports media thing, watching his videos, watching him collab with, different boxers, different athletes and so forth and so on. So this is my guy, man. I'm glad I was able to get him on the show. What's up, Mill? What's going on with you?
Oh, man, I'm chilling, yo. I didn't know that I was one of the factors in you, like, wanting to start, yo.
For sure. Yeah, listen, I keep it real. Like, because before I got into this, like, I was into, like, watching sports, watching, other platforms. But your platform was one of the platforms I'm saying I got to maybe want to get into it, because I always wanted to get into, like sports, boxing, and so forth and so on. But watching your videos, watching your collabs, mainly with you and G, Greg Hackett, y'all collaboration, y'all like Styles P and Jadakiss, you know what I'm saying? So it prompted me to want to go and start doing the media thing. But I want to ask you a few questions, man. Listen, so introduce yourself for people who don't know, who know you are. Let's do that.
Yo, I'm not used to being on this side of the camera. My name is Jamil Parker. I'm president and CEO of YSM Sports Media. I'm a little taken aback, bro. I'm humbled by that.
Yeah.
I'm humbled by that because, of course, I got my guys that I watched, and I hold them in high regard.
Exactly.
My man Adai, which is my man Jamie Boyer, a close friend of mine. He started Adai is like a basketball platform, so he started while I was in my other line of work. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of modeled YSM after his.
That's what's up.
But it was primarily boxing, even though I don't primarily cover boxing. But I started out like that. So.
Dang. That's what's up. So, but even in that though, like like when you have somebody like yourself, and how you motivate probably people like myself and other people that's coming behind, me as far as the media world, that's like a good thing, because everybody needs some type of motivation. Like we need that. Like I'm like, yo, listen, I see the videos coming up. Every time I want to see something about boxing, whatever it is, I'm checking for your channel. Even subscribe to your channel for my personal, YouTube and everything. I'm just keeping it the beam. But, that was one of the factors in me starting everything out. So how did you come up with the YSM?
The actual name?
The name. How did you come up with that? And what does it mean for those who don't know?
Yeah, I'm about to laugh. Okay, so in my old life, I managed bars, clubs.
Okay.
Gentlemen's clubs.
Okay.
After college. And my best friend and one of my homies that was working at the spot at the time, we were kind of like going back and forth with my dad, who was the owner, where, my dad is always talking about the old heads this, the old heads that. So we started calling ourselves Young Stud Movement.
That's what it means.
Yeah, so
that's what's up.
Short for YSM. And then when I started, I kind of wanted to pay homage to them. So, yeah.
Oh, all right, cool, man. Listen, see, people who didn't know, because I didn't know.
Yo,
I never knew what that meant.
Don't tease me. Yo, I was in my 20s, okay?
Yo, get him in the comments. But no, that's what's up, though, because for me, like, I started out TBISE, because I'm like, all right, I got to come up with something that's like an acronym or something that means something. So it's good to have something that have a meaning, no matter what it is. So now you're gonna inspire people who may want to start their own media company, whatever you inspire it to be, whatever you want to name it that, man. That's a good thing. So outside of the naming of the company, like, where are you from exactly?
I'm from Philly, Logan.
Logan, okay.
Yeah, but like one side of my family's from Logan, other side of my family's from like Ardmore, Pennsylvania. So it was like a back and forth where going to see dad Logan, mom Ardmore, even though my mom's from Uptown. It's a long story.
So when did you initially start start YSM? When did you first pick up a camera and say, I'm going to start shooting? When was your first initial video? What was that day like for you? Like, the day I'm going to go shoot my first video.
Yo, all right. So I started off and Into Boxing. It's a UK based website, right? So they gave me my start. While I was a manager at the strip club, I ended up falling in love with boxing. I'm a former basketball player.
Okay.
Came home from college, wanted to get into something new, right? So my security, he was really into boxing, so I started watching boxing with him.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really talk and argue boxing with everybody. So
Exactly.
I found, boxing chats on like Facebook and boxing pages, so I started arguing with them.
Yeah.
And one of the guys from Into Boxing was going around and he was arguing with people, saying, who knew they stuff. And his name was Paul Humphreys. Shouts out to Paul Humphreys, man. He gave me my start. But, argue with me, we had a bunch of debates back and forth. Then he inboxed me one day, asking me, did I want to do this? I'm not even taking the ball seriously. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Right?
Yeah.
Then like a week or two later, he sends me an itinerary for Sergey Kovalov versus Elena Alvarez.
Okay.
The first fight.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh shit, this is for real. And when you doing anything new, you have that first instinct like, nah, you're getting out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes you got to force yourself.
Exactly.
So I forced myself to go, and I fell in love with it.
Wow. And that was when you shot your first video.
Well, I was writing. A lot of people don't know I'm a writer first.
Okay.
So I was writing for Into Boxing, and then they needed help with their YouTube. And by them needing help with the YouTube, that's when the transition started. Because I think I raised, this is on their Facebook page, they had an Into Boxing and Into Boxing USA. And Into Boxing was, doing great numbers. Into Boxing USA, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Solid, but the UK website was killing it, right? So I raised I'm trying to think, it was like 1,000% in my first month to whereas USA beat Into Boxing on Facebook. And once, that happened, I'm a son of an entrepreneur, so once that happened, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. I might as well do it for me.
Wow.
So that's when YSM was born that day, when I saw me defeat them in the first month. And I'm like, all right, well,
I'll have to go do my own thing.
Yeah.
So, YouTube and these different platforms is like a very, very competitive, it's a atmosphere, I should say, as far as, the media world. When did you first recognize that people recognize you and the stuff that you were doing? When did you get your first, like, oh, hold on, my videos are starting to pop. Oh, this. Now, when did you get that feeling like, oh, I'm going viral, whatever the case may be? People's watching your stuff. When did you first feel that feeling of getting over that hump of being recognized?
Damn, that's a good question. It takes a while. If you aren't like pandering or just a shock jock, it takes a while for people to take you seriously. And I'm going to say, I'm trying to think of my first big interview, because I started off interviewing real quality guys, but 1,000 views, 400 views, 5,000 views.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say I really, really started to hit a stride during COVID.
Everybody always say that too. Like, just like COVID was like a time for them to just take off, because everybody in the house on their phones, so forth and so on. So that was a time where your video just took off. Wow. And do you know what video it was that you saw? Like, hold up, I did 20,000, 10,000, whatever views.
With COVID, content was scarce, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people that were event-based people, they kind of dipped.
Yeah.
If you were a gym guy and you had some gyms that was open illegally, I ain't gonna say no names, but you already know how COVID was. It was very restrictive, and you had to get creative, and that's when I got creative. I pieced together like a whole bunch of clips of Floyd just working out, some stuff that I found interesting just as a fan.
Yeah.
And I think the title was like, Floyd Mayweather is an absolute boxing genius. And that took off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever box or train? Was you ever boxer, trainer, anything of that nature?
No, I'm a basketball player. That's what I did, younger. I've trained, I've sparred, but I don't have any amateur fights.
Okay. But it's just something that, it's, for me too, like I trained boxing, you know, when I was younger, and even now, to I still go in the gym and train a little bit when I want to cut some weight, you know. But I don't, you know, I've never took it serious like, you know, like some of these guys. But, you know, in Philly now has a, you know, a deep pool of, you know, notable boxers. I don't know if it's ever been like this before. I mean, it may have been, but I'm talking about like we have like some real names and some real guys who have some notoriety in boxing. What's your thoughts on the Philly boxing scene?
Bro, I came around at the perfect time. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
And the era before is like it was really good because you had I'm gonna say J-Rock and no, you would consider J-Rock this era?
Yeah, because he won his first championship against he beat what's the kid he won when Jared won his first championship.
All right, so we'll say J-Rock's this era, but it was a whole bunch of good fighters in the era before, right? But I don't think we've ever had the guy, right? The guy that's looked at as universally like the guy that's going to take over the sport and, you know, take this sport into the next generation.
Okay.
And be looked at as a Ray Robinson, Ray Leonard, Floyd. We got that.
Now.
And then we got a whole bunch of other great fighters. But having the guy, it kind of like shines a light on Philadelphia.
So now you speaking about having a guy, you can say we kind of got the guy.
Yeah,
right now.
I think we have a transcendent fighter.
Yes. You know, Jerron Boots Ennis, I believe we agree.
Yeah.
So speaking about Boots, you know, he just had the fight where he, you know, in Philly, and it was like everybody say it was a zoo or it was a movie.
It was crazy. He was there.
Yeah. I'm saying it was crazy, like to see that. Like, you know, I don't know if I ever seen like a Philly fighter get that type of, you know, welcoming. Like I'm talking about in Philadelphia.
Nah, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, we've had big fights in Philly, but nothing has ever looked like that.
Exactly. I've never I've been to a lot of fights in Philly, but I've never seen it like that. And when I got there, and I'm pretty sure you're thinking the same thing. When I got there and saw like the atmosphere, you know, everybody in the city was there. I said, yeah. Boots on it, and if he keep doing what he's doing, he on his way. Because once you get Philly behind you, really, like if you're from Philly, you can get Philly behind you, like you on your way. So, you know, congrats to Jerron Boots Ennis. You know, so as a question, I see you doing a lot of interviews with Boots as well.
Yeah.
How did you first meet Boots?
I call him the Tribal Chief. I met Mr. Boozy.
Yeah.
At what fight was that? It might have been like the J-Rock press conference. And, I asked him. Well, first let me say this: boxing is all about etiquette, and a lot of struggles that journalists have is they don't understand the etiquette or was never taught it. A guy named Daoud Bey, great young trainer. We were friends on Facebook, and I ended up going down to his gym, and he taught me boxing etiquette. He told me how to move, what to say, who to ask. And
exactly.
That kind of benefited me, you know, going throughout my whole career. So I knew exactly how to approach Mr. Boozy before I even, you know, talked to him. So I asked him, could I come down to the gym and whatnot? And he said, yeah. And I'm trying to think, was his sparring session? Yeah, first time me ever meeting Boots was in the sparring session.
Wow.
But Boots isn't a really talkative guy, so it was like, you know.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him a few times. And Boots like, but no, he, you know, from when I first met him, maybe like 2 years ago, up until now, I see he's opening up a little more. Because I met him. Actually, I met Boots and Cool Boy in the same spot. I met in Tropical Smoothie down on Broad Street down Temple. Yeah. And I recognized his face. You know, just and I'm like, but I see this young kid in shape. I'm like, this young boy in shape, like. So I asked him what he do. He's like, no, I box. He told me his name, whatever. So I met him there. Then I met Cool Boy down there as well. But actually seeing Boots from 2 years ago up until now, I see he's more comfortable as well with the camera in his face, people talking to him, so forth. So he opened up a little bit. And I just seen him again at the Schuler memorial. They had a memorial for James Schuler in West Philadelphia. I seen him and Boozy down there. Now speaking about just to continue on with Boozy, Bosie's sons, you know, Poole and you know his oldest son, they come up under Bosie, and Bosie's been in boxing for a while.
Yeah.
And to see the transition, like you see good fighters, then you have a son that's like, all right, now this is the one where they compare him to Floyd and, you know, all the greats, and saying that he has the potential to be on that level. Have you ever spoke to Bosie about that and his thoughts on having his son at that level?
Yeah, I've talked to all four of them about that. And first, Poole was the first fight I've ever been to.
Wow.
Yeah, Poole versus it was an African kid, Albert something. I can't remember his last name, but good fight.
Yeah.
Poole's a bad motherfucker, yo.
Yeah.
But as far as like they go, they look at Boots as like the culmination of all of their work. Yeah. He's the culmination of all of their styles put together. He's everything that's going right. To where as though he's learned from the mistakes of 3 people. To where as though when you the last to have to go through, like let's say a blizzard, you're the last person to have to go through the snow.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it a little easier. You see what does work, what doesn't work. And, you know, he's just taken to it and, you know, took that shit to another level.
Wow. So what do you think is next for Boots? Who do you think we're going to see him next? You know, he has I don't know if he got a date yet. You know, it's been some people that's been ducking. You know, we just saw some stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to say, if you want to say any names, but we saw somebody yapping and then ain't nothing happened. You know what I mean?
All right, so last that I've heard or whatnot, 3 offers were sent out. Stanionis, Brian Norman Jr., and Mario Barrios. That he really, really wants to unify.
Okay.
And you know, when you're looked at as the guy or the future of boxing, you're held to a certain standard, held to a certain criticism. People want to believe that what their eyes are telling them is false. You know, they like to build you up to tear you down. Have you ever noticed that, and I think Abdullah Mason's going to go through this. You ever notice that when fighters are coming up, oh my God, they can't do nothing wrong. Like, oh, he's brilliant. He can do this. He can do that. Then when you reach a certain level, it's, oh, he ain't never fought nobody.
Exactly.
Or he can't do this. He can't do that. So I think, you know, he's reached that level to where as though now you just want to see him in, you know, this fight, that fight, this fight. Once he, you know, beats that guy, oh, that guy was never good. Or you scared of this guy, you scared of that guy.
Yeah.
So Stanionis, Barrios, Brian Norman Jr., I think those are all good fights. Do I think that he gets them? Nah. I don't think that.
So we heard somebody yapping. We heard a fighter yapping. Brian Norman, you know.
Yeah, I kind of sparked
that. He's a good fighter.
Up,
yeah, he's a good fighter. But you know, we heard him talking, and then you know we don't know what happened with that. You know,
money normally, you know, it stops fights from happening. You got guys that feel like they're worth this, and mind you, I can't tell another man what he's worth, but I can tell you what the market
says.
The market dictates. The market says that you're worth, and you know, dudes. Put it like this: you got, you know, Canelo Alvarez, you got Terrence Crawford, you got Noy Inoue.
Yeah,
all 3 bad motherfuckers.
Correct.
And Boots is on the come up, but Boots isn't a pay-per-view star yet. I mean, he headlined his first 2 fights last. One was in Boardwalk Hall.
Correct.
And then, you know, he puts 14,000 in Wells Fargo. So he's not on pay-per-view yet. There's a certain number that a pay-per-view fight you can ask for. Correct. And there's certain one, like for a regular fight on the zone, you can't ask for that.
Yeah.
And so dudes want money not for what the fight is worth, but for what the ass whooping is worth. And not saying that specifically about Brian Norman, but if you notice when it comes to Boots, everybody wants, okay, no, you know, this isn't good enough, or that isn't good enough. But okay, what have you been making? Yeah. If it's triple, quadruple, 7 times, 8 times what you've been making normally, then you can't say that's a low ball.
Good, it's your boy OT. I'm over here shopping with my dogs, Holloman, one of the hottest brands coming up out the city of Philly. Everywhere it's comfortable, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm rocking this color to represent, you know what I'm saying, upcoming project, Pale Horse. You know what I'm saying? So watch out for that too. See what it is, your boy OT The Real, rocking one of the hottest up and coming brands there is, Holloman, Pale Horse coming soon. Let's go.
Or standing on this, you acting like you didn't get an offer sent to you.
Exactly.
And nobody's holding a dude like standing on this accountable. Like Brian Norman, you know, they had the negotiations. It didn't work out, right? He's looking for a certain number, and you got to look at it both from business side, right?
Yeah.
Eddie is looking to turn a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Norman Jr. right now, as far as like, you know, stardom wise, he hasn't really headlined his own card. And he hasn't really cultivated a following in his hometown. So a promoter's only going to pay you but so much.
Yeah.
Right? And so now that's a battle because I'm looking at Boots. Boots is the best fighter in the division. I want this. But how many promoters are going to give you that? Yeah. I mean, is your own promoter going to put up the money for the fight and give you what you want? Because I haven't heard anything from Bob.
Yeah.
I've heard it from Eddie. I've heard it from, you know, Bozy, Boots, Brian Norman Sr., but Bob is, you know.
Well, you know, Bob is a would you say a shrewd businessman. Bob will tell you what you know what you're worth. But just go rewind a little bit. So, what do you say to a fighter who say, "Hey, look, you know, I want $2 million." You know, they might make 100,000, 200,000, and then they get faced or put in front of or get an offer to fight somebody like, you know, like Boots, and they say, "I want, you know, $2 million." Or somewhere in an area of $2 million, and then they don't get that, they go fight on a lesser card, you know, for less money.
Yeah.
What do you say about those type of fighters? You know, what's your thoughts on that?
All right. So the first thing, I never feel like any fighter is scared of another fighter.
Okay.
Everything has a price. Sometimes people are unrealistic in their demands, and sometimes people don't read the room or understand the market. Sometimes you have to make sure I got to say this right. Certain opportunities don't come around often. Sometimes you got to jump on. I'm trying to be careful because I'm cool with both sides.
Yeah.
But like sometimes the shit'll get off the pot. Yeah. Right? Like, how many times are you going to be able to make that? Like when you look around the welterweight division, Stanionis, you going to be able to make that with Stanionis? Barrios, you going to be able to make that with Barrios? Right? Every fighter, like when you at this top level, everybody can go.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right game plan, if you don't train or prepare the right way, you could lose. So I'd rather lose for $1.7 million than go into a fight with a relatively unknown guy, end up fucking getting hit on the button for 300, and then now I'm back to, you know, not club shows, but I'm back to being a mid-card guy. So you have to be careful. Like, you're not going to lose any strike losing to a Terrence Crawford, or Gervonta Davis, or Jerron Ennis, or Earl Spence. Yeah. People expect you to lose.
Exactly.
Like, you're the underdog. So you can actually build a profile and end up Gabriel Rosado with Triple G. Off of that fight,
he's still getting checks.
Right. And he's getting movie roles. Yeah. So sometimes you got to take the short, or what you feel like will be the short, and go in there and, you know, prove to the world that you are who you say you are.
So, you know, with that being said, now fighters who do that, do you think it's a little bit of them not believing in their ability?
No, I think that it has to do with the team around you, right? You have a team in place, and you have guys that are looking for the best possible deal for you, right?
Yeah.
A fighter thinks they can beat everybody. Do I think Brian Norman Jr. thinks he can beat Boots? Yeah. He's fought Boots for free in sparring.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I know it's sparring, but you still got to get hit. So in his mind, he could beat Boots. But now when it comes to the business of it, you got people in your ear telling you like, yo, you know, wait, like, we can get this later. And mind you, you've worked your entire career to get to this point. So whereas though, like, you don't want to mess it up. Like, you want to get everything you feel like you deserve. And so that's where I think, you know, signals get crossed. It's like where fans look like, oh, you price yourself out. You know, in a fighter's perspective, it's like, nah, you know, I deserve this.
So, just speak about Boots and his promotional company. He's with Matchroom now, I believe, with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is, it's been rumored that Eddie Hearn just recently signed Shakur Stevenson
Good move.
to Matchroom. What's your thoughts on Shakur signing with Matchroom?
I think it was the right move at this point in time. When you look at the landscape of boxing,
Yeah.
PBC, they kind of slowed down on the shows. I know they're about to pick it up in the fall, but as far as like with their activity, and ideally that would have been the first place. If Shakur became a free agent a year or two ago, that would have been the first place I would, in my mind, like, yo, you should go there.
Yeah.
But Matchroom right now is throwing a lot of shows. They're willing to take risks. And Shakur needs to be built back up because it seemed like on the way out, it was some, less than favorable things said from Top Rank about Shakur Stevenson. And that kind of got a little messy. But I think Eddie's going to do a good job of speaking for Shakur. And whereas though you just letting him do what he do naturally, beat people ass.
Yeah. Do you think Shakur, the perfect scenario for Shakur, do you think it would be for them, not to say they're going to get on a bunch of cab drivers, but to get Shakur some opportunities where he can get some knockouts?
Yes.
You think that's the plan? Like let's build this, let's build him up as he's already a boxer, but let's give him some knockouts or some exciting fights where he looks spectacular. You think that's the plan? They line him up with some not easy opponents, but lesser, maybe B and C level competition.
All right, well, when I look at Joe Cordina, I look at a guy with a name. Joe Cordina is a former world champion. He's coming off of a loss, but you know who Joe Cordina is.
Correct.
Right? And it's a fight that, name-wise, Shakur Stevenson versus Joe Cordina. You're like, okay. Now, do I think Joe Cordina could beat Shakur? Fuck no. Shakur going to beat Joe Cordina's ass. Respect the Joe Cordina, but I know it's coming. Don't get mad at me, Matchroom, but I'm saying it is what it is. Yeah. It's a guy with a name. It's a guy who's been a champion. It's a guy that you recognize. But it's a guy that Shakur Stevenson is going to look spectacular against, and that's what you want. Remember, the job of a promoter, I'm promoting an event. People think like, boxing is a sport. But when you get on this level, it's entertainment. And people have been complaining about the entertainment value of Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah.
And so I think those last two fights kind of hurt him a little bit, but I think this one, especially where he's at mentally, I think you going to be entertained. Like I think he's going to show out.
Yeah,
and that's what he needs. You can't go into a Gervonta Davis negotiation
looking like
coming off two performances to where as though of course he won, but two performances where the fans weren't happy with because now tanking them is going to be like, no, I'll take what we give you, but Eddie builds them back up. Now it's a give and take.
Correct. So me and you were at the Shakur event in Newark. I saw you there. Kicking it there. We saw people in his own hometown, leaving the fight. I'm talking about like what was it, like 7th, 8th round, maybe. It could. I mean, I think
it was like 9th, 10th, maybe 11th. Yeah, in that window. And
this is where he's from. This is where he's born, raised. From my understanding, he fights there, and people from where you from walk out. Do you think that people like PBC, Tank, and them are looking at that and saying, like you said, take what I'm offering you?
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. That's all leverage.
You've been in business, right?
Yeah.
Shit, if I can, if I can make the fight and give you $2 million less or $1 million less, that's that goes right to my bank account. So yeah, I would be looking at that. I've been in business since I was 23. Everybody's a shark, and especially on that level. So I would be trying to do anything I could to, just increase my profit margins.
Yeah.
So
now let's flip the coin. We go over to, we can say the A side, Cash Cow, Gervonta Tank Davis. What happens if you say, all right, if it's like a double-edged sword. Say that they put Tank in the ring with Cordina. What would the fans say about him Tank fighting somebody like that?
it would definitely be criticism. At the same time, Tank fought Rolly. So did anybody think that Rolly deserved that fight at that point in time? No, we didn't.
No.
Right? And it was an exciting fight for as long as it lasts. Joe Cordina is a former world champion.
Yeah.
So in a weight class that Shakur had competed in. So it's not like Shakur's a natural 35 and Joe Cordina's moving up to 50. No, Shakur's a 26 that moved up. And so, yeah, there would be criticism. At this point in Tank's career, if Tank fought Joe Cordina, there's going to be a section of fans that's going to be like, oh, that's a cherry pick. Oh, Tank's bum bashing again. And remember, Tank is the god. So Tank is going to get a certain level of criticism.
Correct.
Tank doesn't have to be rebuilt. Tank's already there. He's at the top of the mountain. He's looking down, and he's the dude that's like, all right, I'm going to give you a shot. You ain't ready yet. I can't make no money with you. Yeah, I yield. Come here. Yeah, take this payday and get knocked out. That's the point in his career that he's at.
That's crazy how you said that. But look, now you got, it's been announced. When we talk about Tank, it's been announced he's coming back November 2nd, I believe, right? He had the date locked in.
Yeah.
Who do you think we get? Ryo, who's the top, next person to possibly get, put to sleep? Who we saying is going to be? Who you think?
I'm going to give two names in my opinion, right? I think Ryo Valenzuela is one. He probably makes the most sense, but the problem with Ryo is it's going to be a quick turnaround. He just fought in August.
Yeah.
And so if he's going to do that, you're going to have to pay him more because I don't really get no time off. I come off of a tough fight against Isaac Cruz, and now I have to go right into Gervonta Davis, without resting my body.
And then another thing too, Ryo he at 140. He got a title at 140. So
yeah, but he's not a real 140 though.
So Tank wouldn't fight for that belt.
Tank would fight for it.
So they would think, so he probably had to go to 140 and fight.
Yeah, but when you think about it that way, it's like a dude to move up and face a guy that was at a lower weight class because I know you're not a natural 140.
You ain't gonna go to 180 on me and fight me.
No, like you was just at 35, so no, he'll probably slap a rehydration clause just in case Ryo want to get froggy with the swell up.
Yeah,
but I think Tank would do that.
Who's the other guy you think he might fight?
Dark horse, Edwin De Los Santos.
You think so?
Yo, for anybody watching, do not rule out Edwin De Los Santos. Remember that I said that, yo. If you watch it, Edwin De Los Santos is an option.
He can punch too.
That's a good fight.
Yeah,
that's a good fight. Now he's coming off of a loss.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad at Tank for that because he's pursued other avenues. He's tried to make other fights happen.
Yeah,
that right now, they're not on the same schedule that Tank's on. So
did Tank really send an offer to Shakur? Is that true? From what you've been hearing,
from what I've heard, they reached out to inquire about a fight.
Yeah,
I don't know how true it is, but from what I heard, they reached out, and the other side wanted to go in a different direction. And I have no issue with that because, like I said, everything's about timing, right? You want me when I'm at my lowest as far as like marketability wise, because then I'll be forced to take whatever you offer me. In Tank's mind, right, coming from a point of position, a position of power, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. So I get it. I get both sides, and I'm not mad at both sides. So I don't consider it a duck. I never consider Tank scared of Shakur. I don't consider Shakur scared of Tank. I think it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen.
I see that fight possibly. I think Shakur got to get. I say next year this time. I think I might see that fight because I think, like we said, Eddie Hearn is going to try to build Shakur's excitement behind Shakur, like couple knockouts, couple exciting fights where he had to bite down and prove that he really is a fighter. You know what I'm saying? So I think next year this time. Now we got another card that's just been announced. Canelo Berlanga, the 14th. I see you smiling. What you think? What you think about that fight? Is it too soon for Berlanga, or because we heard this before? We heard Tank say about Frank Martin. You should have waited. Do you think Berlanga should have waited maybe a couple fights, or it would have been the same outcome, or what you think?
this goes back to the negotiations with the Brian Normans and Stanionis and all them, right? So, and mind you, Boots is nowhere near Canelo's level of stardom or marketability.
Correct.
So I don't want people to get this misconstrued. But with Berlanga, boxing wise, you should wait. Business wise, you gotta go.
That's the same thing, yeah. Like you said with Brian Norman, the money is there. The rumors is he's getting, a big check for this fight.
Berlanga has two of the best managers in boxing, right? I mean, these dudes are sharks. Keith Connolly, and shouts out to my man Whitey. But they're going to get him every dollar he deserves, and maybe dollars that people feel like he don't deserve. They're going to do it. And so you have to look at the landscape like, okay, well, what happens if Canelo loses? What happens if Canelo retires? This payday, this situation may not come around again.
Yeah.
So some situations you have to look, I got to jump on this. I may not be ready boxing wise, but I'm ready for that check.
You're right. Because this Canelo was on his way out. I mean, what, maybe 4 or 5 more fights at I see at the most. And I think lastly probably will be he probably will fight Benavidez. Last I believe. What you think? You think that the fight was gonna happen? No,
I don't know, bro. At this point, boxing, all the fights that you feel like should happen, all the fights that you feel like is ready, all the fights that you feel like the fans should want. I'm like, boxing is boxing, right? So I expect what shouldn't happen to happen. I'm gonna say that.
So all right, listen, let's rewind a little bit. What happens? I know you probably don't think this is possible, or maybe you do. What happens if Berlanga clips Canelo?
Boxing has a new superstar.
Like instant, overnight.
Yes. Yo, when analyzing that fight, a lot of people have Berlanga misconstrued, right? You got people that are really, really low on Berlanga right now, and I don't agree with that. While I don't think he's ready boxing wise for Canelo Alvarez, and it's only for a couple of reasons. It's because Paydrag McCrory, Steve Rose don't prepare you for that, right? I feel like he needs 1 to 2 looks at the top level before fighting a dude who's arguably the best fighter of the last 20 years, 25 years, or his era. Yeah. And when I say 20 years, I'm not talking about Floyd's era. I'm just talking about of Canelo's era. But Berlanga has better boxing skills than what people are giving him credit for. Like, I've seen him in the amateurs. He was a boxer, sharp. He gets to the pros, and you put them 8s on, you put them 10s on, you start cracking people upside your head, you fall in love with that.
Exactly.
And to whereas though he kind of abandoned some of the fundamentals and skills that made him such a good amateur, to whereas though he's just focusing on punching. If both styles come together that night, it's going to be a fight. I don't think he can beat Saul though. So Saul's a bad motherfucker, bro.
Yeah. For a long time, he's been at that level for a long time. You know what I'm saying? He went up and dared to be great against Bivol, but he's been on the tear. Honestly, think about it. He's fought a lot of world champions.
I want to say this though, like any true A-side, he stacked the deck against a lot of people. While he fought great names, just like Floyd, just like Manny Pacquiao, A-side play A-side games. To whereas though I'm gonna play with the weight. Like you gonna fight me on my circumstances. If you can beat me, kudos. But it's gonna be hard to beat me.
Why do you think people try to give Tank some flack but this is something that's been going on? De La Hoya, Floyd. So a lot of the greats did it. Why do you think they've been giving Tank flack for putting a rehydration clause in there with different fighters? Why do you think people give him so much flack? But it's something that's been going on. People that have been on the A side for decades.
It's been going on for decades. Do I agree with it? No. Okay. I believe if you're supposed to be that guy, fight everybody under neutral circumstances. But that's my issue with boxing, not my issue with Tank.
Yeah.
Just boxing in general. But if everybody's been doing it before me, and like this is the normal course of action, then I would.
Yeah.
So as far as like Tank goes, Tank doesn't get credit for the fighters that he's beaten. You ever notice that there's always an asterisk next to it, where as though, the dude was good 6 months ago, the dude was good a year ago, and then when I send him to the gulag, then all of a sudden he was a bum. Like Leo Santa Cruz became a bum overnight. That's
crazy. Yo, that's crazy. That's another thing too. I was thinking, like, I know people saying they try to downplay Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is a tough fight for anybody. You put him against, I ain't saying that he can beat Shakur, but you put them two together, that'd be an interesting fight, man. I think Shakur, I probably will pick Shakur to win, but that would be a real interesting matchup.
At 126, him versus Shakur is a very, very good fight. I think Shakur beats him, but it's a very good fight. Yeah. Leo Santa Cruz is like 38-1.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, but he's moving up. It's like, bro, he was at that weight class already for one fight. You acting like Tank hasn't fought at 126 pounds before.
Exactly.
He has. Leo Santa Cruz is a taller, longer fighter, pause. But I thought that was a good fight. I thought the Barrios fight was a good fight. Frank Martin, Jose Pedraza, Hector Garcia, even though Hector was moving up, these are all good fights. So I think Tank is overrated and underrated. You got some people that think that Tank could knock out Godzilla. Yeah. He can move up and beat Crawford. And then you got some people that think Tank is this super hype job. Like, nah, he's a great fighter. Give him his credit.
That's another thing too. Like, if you just pick that one fight, like you said, Barrios. If you look at them and the face off, I'm talking about like when they was in the ring.
Insane.
Yo, Tank looking up at this guy like, I'm like, yo. I was a little like, I said, he gonna have to show some skills tonight because Barrios is a champion at 147 now. And he was champion at 140. So it's like that was a hell of a win, man. You gotta give out of all the fighters I haven't seen nobody fight nobody that much taller or that much, stronger than them. Really honest. I haven't seen anybody do that in that weight division.
He's taking risks. He's taking calculated risks, but he's taking risks. Where shit could have backfired.
Yeah.
Right? Because at first the narrative was he's just a puncher. Right? Because that's how a lot of people saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, when he stepped up in competition or moved up in weight, you got a chance to see his skill set.
Yeah.
He is arguably the most complete fighter in boxing.
Yeah.
Like, what can't Tank do?
I see him do it all. He fight a back foot coming forward. He shows something different in every fight.
Yeah.
You look at the last couple of fights, he showed something different in every fight. Isaac Cruz, broken hand, slipping, moving, countering. He knocked out Rolly going backwards. You know what I'm saying? So, just then coming forward just recently with Frank Martin, he was on his front foot the whole fight, pressuring Frank Martin. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different, layer to his game. Now, this is I don't want to speak too much more about Tank, but I want to ask the last question. So, with Tank, right? What's the highest weight class you think he can make? You think he can go to 147?
No,
140 would be like the ceiling.
I think 140 situationally. I don't think it's fair that we require great fighters to do. Like, people want Inoue to go up and fight Tank. Come on, y'all. People were calling for Tank to move up to face Crawford. Like, what the?
Yeah.
Like that. Those are spectacles. Like, you don't really want to see a boxing match. You want to see just two guys, like a fantasy fight where you just throw them in there. Fight night. This is real life. Like, I think 40 situationally with guys who were 35s.
Mm-hmm.
I think those make sense. But guys who are natural 40-pounders, nah.
Yeah, Tank is he's a short guy. He's a short guy as far as height goes. So, shout out to Tank, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Now, just to move a little forward now, just also with Philly fighters, we got Danny coming back versus Lara on the Canelo undercard. We were just at the Danny media day together, and how you think Danny looked?
Danny looked good, right? Danny might be a natural 154 pounder. Like, looking at his
frame,
he's definitely grew into that weight class. That's a really, really, really intriguing fight. And I think Lara, not at this point, but Lara could arguably be his toughest opponent yet. You know, people gonna say crazy like Earl Spence, but nah, it was like stylistically, Erislandy Lara could be his toughest opponent.
Because a lot of people thought Lara beat Canelo. Honestly, I don't know you. I watched it a couple times. I thought I thought it could have went either way, but I thought, honestly, I really did. I thought Lara edged that fight. Honestly,
my first time seeing Lara was when he got over on my man Paul Williams. Paul Williams was my guy. I'm sitting there watching that fight like, hey, yo, who the fuck is this dude? Yo,
crafty.
Yo, man, he's
crafty guy, man.
I love Paul. Paul, I was a big fan of you growing up.
Thought you lost that fight.
Paul, you lost that fight, bro. Lara was on some shit that day.
That's when I first noticed Lara too. Really, I ain't gonna lie, in that fight, like Lara is a real crafty guy. So I think that Danny gonna have to knock him out in order to win this fight. What you think? I don't think he can beat Lara on points. I think he would have to, if he pulls it off, but with winning on points, I would be really intrigued about Danny's skills. Even though not taking from Danny, because Danny is a hell of a fighter, but I think he probably has to really punch on Lara this fight.
It's at 157-pound catch weight. Danny's been out of the ring for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Lara's 41 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's either two things is gonna happen, right? If Lara falls off the cliff, Danny's gonna get him. If Lara's still Lara, it's gonna be a fight.
Yeah.
And Lara's been stretching people as of late.
Yeah, no. Danny
got a chin, one of the best chins that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So if Lara's still Lara, Danny's gonna have to, I would say, touch the body. He's gonna have to slow Lara down, and that's gonna be a very tough task.
I agree.
Definitely.
I agree. Also, on that card, we got Cool Boy coming back. Yeah. After suffering his first defeat. Your thoughts on Cool Boy coming back? You've been off for about 16 months? He's been off for a while.
Yeah.
But he's always been training. I always seen him. I was just talking to Wild about that, and he was like, "Yeah, he's always been in the gym, but now just coming back, getting into the fold of after your first loss." What's your thoughts on Cool Boy, like mentally? What you seeing from?
All right, I'm gonna direct this to the solo camera.
Yeah.
Right. So, fans say they want to see fighters fight the best. Right? That's the consistent rhetoric that you hear. Oh, fight the best, fight the best. We don't care if you lose, fight the best. But then when guys fight the best and are unsuccessful, then all of a sudden they become bums or hype jobs. Stephen Fulton, this is an argument that me and him have had. Stephen Fulton is going to be a Hall of Famer. No ifs, no ands, no buts. I think he beat 9 undefeated fighters.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He went against the monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
He stayed at that weight class long because he wanted to be undisputed. And then when people said he was scared of the monster, he's a Philly dude. Like, yeah. I ain't scared of nothing. Like, we can have it. He waited for him.
Mm-hmm.
And who he got an injury. He waited for him again.
Mm-hmm.
He lost, right? He should be commended for doing everything possible to make that fight happen.
For sure.
And now he's going in there off of a layoff, off of a knockout loss, and fighting Carlos Castro, who's 30-2.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at Stephen Fulton's fucking resume, yo. Anybody can get it. When we talk about AB's the can man, Stephen Fulton is the can man. Anybody can get it. Look at Angelo Leo. He decisively beat Angelo Leo, and Angelo Leo cooked Luis Alberto Lopez.
Exactly.
Right? So I think that win has aged well. Give Stephen Fulton his fucking flowers, man.
I agree. You heard it here first. Give him his flowers. It's my guy. Shout out to Cool Boy. And Cool Boy, I always see Cool Boy, man. He always, fly. You know what I mean? Cool Boy stays dressed up, man. I might see him, he be sharp, man. But just Cool Boy's from where I'm from. We're from West Philly, so I see Cool Boy a lot. In the gym, Daryl Schuler gym, a lot when I was a few years ago, and I always seen him, man. He stayed in the gym. He like even before I think we had it when I noticed him, he had like his first couple professional fights, but he just be in the gym, beating everybody up in the gym.
I can see that.
He's beating everybody. I'm like, Like that's cool boy, young boy. And he gonna be a champ. And I remember him just beating on guys. You know what I'm saying, like moving around the ring and this, you know, and then also being able. You see now with Cool Boy, he's able to stand. He's standing in the pocket with people. He can do it all. He rumble. He fight. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to Cool Boy, man.
Cool Boy is definitely a fighter. He's like, he adapts to whatever somebody, like I've seen him box off the back foot. I've seen him be in the trenches. Like however you want it, he'll give it to you. Pause.
Yeah.
But I think against Carlos Castro, you want to see a better version of Stephen Fulton. It sounds crazy because when you look at his career, but you're going to see a better version of Stephen Fulton. And he's going to win a title at 126, probably unify the division.
Care LLC. We give you an abundance of what you need. We know what you need. We can literally read your mind. Look at me. I'm staring right into your soul. We're going to give you an abundance of it. Care LLC has been rated #1 in Pennsylvania for home care agency since 2020. They got the best pay, the best care, medical, dental, 401k. If you're located in Philadelphia County, Bucks County, Chester County, or Montgomery County, call today at
215-644-8341.
Oh, hello? Is this Care? I just called the number that was here on the screen. This is crazy.